We're going to call the meeting to order here at 5 p.m. First thing we have on the agenda is to open and award the bid for the RFP on the water main installation. We did receive one bid. We have decided to table this until, or I'm recommending we table this, sorry. Table this until we receive the signed easements that we're waiting for on Morris Street. And to be fair, I think we should hold off on opening the bid.
Yeah, I'm fine with that one, if we don't even have permission to get there.
Right, so.
Is that the motion?
So I need a motion.
I'd make a motion to table the bid process until we get,
The signed easements.
yeah.
Okay, all right, and I'll second that. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye, okay. We have to approve and sign the minutes from the August 10th meeting. I did not see anything in there that stood out. Did you?
No.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept them as presented.
Okay, I'll second. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye, very good. And next we have Robert McAfee and the letter he received regarding Cox Farm Road. Thank you for joining us, Robert.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. Would you like to read this into the record, please?
Sure,
This is-
I have it right here in front of me.
Okay.
So the letter was sent on, this doesn't have a date. But it was sent in the beginning of July.
7.
That was a notice from him, but it was addressed to.
Postmark 760.
7/16, thank you, July 16th. Dear Mr. McAfee, thank you for your July 7th, 2021 email informing Selectman Rice of your recent work on Cox Farm Road. Please be advised that pursuant to RSA 236:9, it is a violation level offense to perform any work on our town road without first obtaining the written permission of the Selectmen. Please refrain from performing any additional work on Cox Farm Road without obtaining prior written permission in the future. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation. Sincerely, the Board of Selectmen.
Historically, I've owned land up there for 28 years. I have solely maintained that road for 28 years. To the personal expense of me earning $400,000 to do it. That, of course, includes my plows and vehicles. I typically dump in $10,000 to $20,000 a year on that road. I have had permission repeatedly from the selectmen, you know this, and letters have been given to, I don't know if Mike Donahue ever got a letter when he did it, because he's done plenty of work, but also Rex Calder, because obviously I don't have excavators and dump trucks, I hire people to do professional work. Now, work includes everything from trees falling, rocks rolling out into the road, washouts from floodwaters coming down off the mountain, just regular wear and tear, snow plowing. This does not explain what you want me to put a letter together for. I mean, after doing it for this much time and spending this much money as a benefit to the town, because it's town-owned, it's not mine. But it does, promote safety for me and everybody else that travels on the road. Because if you drive past my house and you see the condition of the road, you might notice a difference. So for me, as a person that puts this much time and work into it, I kind of was offended by this letter. I don't know why you couldn't have sent me a letter saying, hey, you've done a great job with this for the last 28 years. Here's a letter because, some lawyer says that might be something we need to do. A little tact, a little leadership on this would have been a lot nicer to see. So, thought I might bring that to your attention.
Yep, I appreciate that. And I have to say, for me, I can't speak for these two, but we appreciate the work you do to it, and we understand that you make big investments and that it's more because you're concerned. I had Judy pull the signed agreement that you had referenced last week, so I could look at that to see why, where there's confusion. I can see where it's confusing because when it speaks, it talks about the release and waiver of our responsibility and our liability as a town under that RSA that it references 674:41. But I do get where it's not clear about what's maintenance and what's not.
It's not at all. In fact,
and-
you can even interpret, because of the way that RSA is written, it specifically talks about class 1, 2, and 3. 4, 5, and 6, it's vague. You could call that a path, and it doesn't even apply.
But-
So,
recognizing that that agreement that we have with you does not clarify that, and that there is the RSA 236:9, sorry, I got notes here that I've written down, that does give folks, or requires folks to get permission to work on a public road. I do think we need to meet with the attorney or reach out to the attorney to clearly define what's maintenance. Is it
yeah, is
when
it a
you
tree that
resurface?
falls?
Right,
Do I have to do it for
When
an
you
individual?
plow,
Should I
right.
send you a letter
Completely
with a tree blocking the road?
Yep,
You know, a rock,
Right.
flooded out area that needs a load of gravel to fill it in.
yep,
Plowing it, sanding it.
Right.
All of these things fall into the realm of maintenance.
yep.
They're
And I-
done on all the other public roads.
Yep.
I just get to pay for it up there for
Right.
benefit me and the other people that live up there.
Right, no, I agree.
So,
So please give us.
there's
we're gonna
another
reach
little
out.
part of that law you should ask your attorney about.
Okay.
There's a part that says, wow, I made a donation to the town by doing that, and you can give me a letter that I can write it off on my taxes.
Okay,
So, I've never gotten one of those.
okay,
I've been denied one of those.
all right. I'm writing it down.
So,
Very good.
so
No, I appreciate, yeah. So
can
we'll
we
reach.
constitute my being here as the request for the letter, for you guys to give me a new, up-to-date letter allowing me to,
Well, I don't know, we're gonna have to check with the attorney to see what it allows. Yes, a new letter that will allow, say, okay, you can do up to this. Anything beyond this as far as.
so in the
whatever.
meantime, when a tree falls across the road, I call you guys? What do you want to do? You tell me.
I don't think when a tree falls that.
We gotta
that
draw a
necessarily-
line.
But, yeah, we do. You know what? I will try to get an answer from the lawyer this week for you.
Okay, so the
Meantime,
line,
sure, you can give me a call.
line is, I don't do anything and you guys will take care of it.
No. Because
You're
we're
gonna-
not, we're not
so a tree
responsible for
falls.
maintaining.
What's
You can
that?
give us a call and we'll say, go ahead and cut it.
So then you'll say, go ahead and cut.
Well, that's what you're asking for right now.
This is what
Right.
your letter says. I'm trying to comply with your lovely letter.
Okay.
So-
Okay, fair enough.
If you're saying now, I can call you to get permission.
I'm
So I-
stating, let us call the lawyer. So you can drill it down as much as you want.
Well, doesn't one need to?
Okay,
It's not like,
fair enough. Thank you. Any comments? Questions?
no, in the past, you're right, we have been pretty casual, taking a pretty casual approach to just doing it. We apparently were in error. We probably should have gone to this extent and looked and seen what it said and let you know about it earlier. I mean, like, a long time ago.
We knew about this a long time ago, and we've done the letter before. Rex told me he's even got a letter.
I can't find any letters. I only can
I
find
didn't, I
evidence.
told him not even bother looking it up. What's it matter? I mean,
I know, but I understand the confusion, and even the attorney said she understands where the confusion comes from, so. But we just have to do what needs to be done now and follow the rules of the,
well, can this
RSA,
meeting
I know.
constitute my request for the letter that
Oh,
you
yeah,
want me to
that-
Yeah,
have?
we're gonna
that's
work
all
on
good.
it.
Okay.
That's all
Yeah.
good, Robert. Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks for coming back in today. We appreciate it. Looks like the next thing we have on here is Larry Berg from Ahead regarding the project Ahead and the CDBG grants and some updates. Welcome.
Thank you. So I am Larry Berg, the Director of Development for AHEAD, Affordable Housing, Education, and Development, and we are working on the phase unit across the street from you, Peeling Village at Gordon Pond. I don't really have a whole lot to update, other than to say that we are moving along at the same schedule that I had shared the last couple of times I've been in. The low-income housing tax credit application will be submitted on Monday. We should hear on that on end of October, early November, whether we get that award or not, and that is the large chunk of our funding that will probably mean whether the project is a go or not. So we're still on track to get that. Pre-development is moving along well and slowly. Should be pulling a driveway permit pretty soon to get in and do some geotech there. But there won't be any construction at the site probably until late spring, early summer next year. It's still the same site plan, still the same 29 units in the first phase with 2 buildings. There's a 20-unit, 3-story apartment block and a 9-unit, 2-story townhome-style apartment building as well. We do have a meeting. I know someone had raised the concern about turnaround for fire trucks in there, so I think our architect has got a meeting with the fire chief on that, but we're trying to comply with all the requests within the
Sitting right
town.
behind you.
Last one.
So Stuart is trying to catch up with you on, so.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Excellent.
The other, any questions on that?
Yes, I have a question. 3 stories you mentioned?
On the apartment block, yes.
The eaves are less than 26 feet?
Yes. Well, they're within the easement limit.
Of 26 feet?
To the primary eve, yeah. That's how it reads.
That is how they've been designed, yes.
Okay.
Wait.
Bill?
Does that ordinance even exist if you go back to the declaration by the select person that because the primary eve was so vague that the ordinance, forget about the ordinance and just proceed with the project down on Route 3? And I believe you can find that in the minutes of the meeting. So does that throw out the height ordinance?
No, they went about the design according to what was written in the ordinance.
You might want to check the minutes and,
I remember what you're referring to down on the spray foam building, if I remember.
and then
correctly.
following the meeting, there was a conversation where it said he did not need to comply because it was so vague with a primary eve. So do you even have an ordinance?
I'm a member of the planning board and I've been through this several different times. There is an ordinance. My point on this in the past has been that was due to the ladder equipment that was done in the past when that ordinance was made. Now that we have a ladder truck, I am not adverse to changing that to a higher level. And I don't know why you wouldn't want to bother going and changing that now that we've spent all this money on a ladder truck.
That would, to change that, we'd have to go to town meeting with it.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
But I think that's something
But I
that could be
believe
supported.
that all of our architects have been going on that assumption and leaving it as a 26 feet.
Yeah.
Is the last information I got from them.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So the other question was, another source of funding for us would be a community development block grant. That's the CDBG grant, and it needs to be awarded to a municipality. And so I am here to request that the town of Woodstock be that municipality for us to put together a grant application for a community development block grant, housing grant, in the round that will be coming up, which is the last Monday of January is the application deadline. So there's plenty of time. Next step on that, I have talked to Judy about it, would be a pre-application meeting with a grant writer. So we would hire a grant writer who would help administer the application process, make sure that all the ducks are in a row. Town time is compensated for any involvement there. I think the town has done one before. Should the grant be awarded, we would hire a grant administrator as well to keep up on all the paperwork there, to make sure that everything is in order. And we would be, ahead would be the subrecipient of that grant. It would pass through to us.
Okay. Were you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
And you have the team in the town to administer?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty easy, it's pretty straightforward. We've done a couple of them. We're kind of just a pass in and pass out, but
Okay. I would make that motion then to accept their request to help administer the CDBG grant.
Yeah, second.
Okay. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Very good.
Thank you all.
Yeah, is that it for today?
Yep, I'll be in touch, Judy, as soon as we get a grant writer.
Okay, Larry.
Move ahead.
Great, thanks, Larry. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Have a good evening.
Next up, we have a couple of donations to accept. We have a Woodstock Fire donation request for t-shirt sales in the amount of $1,400. I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to accept that.
Okay, I'll
I'm
second.
still amazed at the figures that come in on this t-shirt. It's just
It's incredible.
It's
incredible.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we have another donation here.
You'll make money from all of it.
For $200 of unanticipated private monies to be donated into the Woodstock Fire Department Fund.
Make a motion to accept that.
I'll make a second. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we have a check request. It's not pulling up. Do you have it? Okay. We have a check request from the Woodstock Firefighter Fund for body covers, which are t-shirts, in the amount of $702. You have a motion?
Yeah, make a motion to accept it.
All right, I will second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then that leads us to public participation. Is there anything that we have for public participation this evening? Yes, Bill?
I apologize if I don't have all of the information. I was away today and I came home and I looked at the agenda and there were 3 topics there that I had hoped to speak to, and I will. I'm not looking to be confrontational. I deeply, deeply care about this town. And one of them was Class 6 roads. Just by quick count today, I came up with 6 Class 6 roads. I'm sure there are more. But if the letter is going out to Rob, shouldn't it go out to all residents on the Class 6 roads? Why just his as to what he can do?
No, those RSAs cover everybody with Class 6 roads. We were just made aware of the work that he had done.
I had just spent 5 figures on laying new material on the road, so they sent me a letter saying I can't do that.
And I'm thinking that other people on the other Class 6 roads must
Never seen it
also
done by anybody anyway.
clear trees and move boulders.
Mike Donahue does on Potato Hill Road.
Well, we had the old Fairfield Road, Jim Young, at the beginning of this year, this spring.
But are
When
they
he come in
aware,
and asked-
are they aware of?
Yeah, because he came and
Okay.
requested
Well,
our permission for
when we
paving.
build a house on a Class 6 road, we have to sign away all our rights to everything. We're made well aware that
Yeah.
the town's not gonna do anything.
And along the lines of caring for the community, I really do care about the community, and it's getting harder and harder to find where the seeds are for community here. I wish Larry had stayed because he has more knowledge on this than I do. Folks are touting across the street with the affordable housing, workforce housing. We need young people in this community. You're going to bring young folks in here. They're going to be put into the workforce, which is service industry jobs. And they'll stay here until it's time to move on. And what will they leave here with? What has this community done for them? The community has done a service for the businesses by providing a location to put workers that may have children. Some may not, that may be their plan. But if they're paying rent and only rent and then they leave the community, what have we done for them? And what are we doing for the community if we're going to keep turning over these workers? I had an opportunity 18 months ago to be at Teton Village in Wyoming, and I was on a shuttle bus, and there was a lady in the back of the bus talking about affordable housing and workforce housing. So when I got off the bus, I approached her, had a brief conversation, and have had several conversations with her. And then when Scott went out west, I emailed him and I said, Scott, when you get ready to go on such and such a trail, look at these houses. This is affordable housing, workforce housing. People are driving 100 miles to get to work. But the housing there, certain of them are equity-based. You buy it, and instead of subsidizing the rent, they subsidize the mortgage or extend the mortgage, such that when the time comes that you leave Woodstock, you can sell that property. You cannot totally sell it on the open market. You're limited to only a certain percentage or parallel to the consumer price index from down in Washington for each year. But those people are making monthly payments, and they're building. They're building something for their future because they know they can sell it. And you say, well, that's not a big deal. The other part of the conversation was the real estate folks out there, and you can see it here. You can see it here as well. Out there, when you get a listing, you don't advertise it, you call a hedge fund, because the hedge funds realize how rapidly the value of property is, and they're gobbling up all of the housing into the hedge fund portfolios. Therefore, the same as we have here, the people that are working here cannot afford to live here. And going a bit further with the word live, that means own a home, have a home, which was the American dream. What we're having across the street is just a stall, a void in the process of moving on in life. You're just paying rent and you get nothing back. Larry would know much more about that. But those are we need to build a community here. The next thing is going to be the school, because there aren't going to be any youngsters that can go there because the parents cannot afford to live there. And then I mentioned it previously with across the street, and it was driven home a Saturday afternoon. I was driving into town in the Carter residence. I don't know if Eileen Carter still lives there, but the road gets pretty narrow there. And there was a husband and a wife, and one toddler that was going fine, and one that was doing a fair amount of tripping, and pulled up by the arm. And that's when the roads are clear. The roads are clear, there's no snow. And if you're going to put however many units there, directly across the street, sold recently, and then you have the ice castle, people are going to walk. If we want a downtown, people are going to walk there. There are exaction fees that a town can impose on builders. There are impact fees if you have, the exaction fees can be done without a zoning ordinance. The impact fees require a zoning ordinance. And I'm wondering if you folks are looking into this. I've heard mentioned when they come, the town is going to receive money. And my question is that just the hookup fees? Yes, there's a considerable amount of money there, but that's not addressing the impact these folks are going to have on the community, and the community's rolling out a welcome mat. I certainly don't want to walk down Lost River Road to be on this myself, and if I had youngsters, I would be, I wouldn't sleep well at night thinking of them walking back and forth to town. So I don't know if that's something you would consider imposing on them. And Larry, they just received a sightline restriction from the folks across the street to clear a sightline. And the restriction does not preclude the present owners of the property from, and it says right in the Registry of Deeds, into having a sidewalk or walkways. So, those are 3 topics I will do a lot more work on and come back to you, but since they were on the agenda this evening, I only bring all of this up because I was fortunate. I came here 50 years ago for 6 months and at $2.05 an hour, and I made it. But we've got to think about these people if you want a community. Thank you.
Thank you. We can certainly reach back out to Larry via email and share the concerns that you just voiced and see if he could return at another time to answer those questions.
I brought it when he and Mike were here, 6/4 of 2019, I believe was the meeting he was here. So he has heard me as the police chief isn't here, but I did bring this concern of a sidewalk, and it was also mentioned, I did not hear back on this, that the owners of the campground had an offer, but the folks wanted to condominiumize it, and the town said they could only do that if they put in a sidewalk. I'll do some digging there. And now we're going to have year-round youngsters, and we're not requesting that.
If I may, in support of one of the points that he was making, the school system here is shrinking dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
Costs are through the roof, and the rankings of the school, which is most easily seen when you look at any real estate website, is very poor. It may be time to consider doing something with that. Maybe it's time for the town to start talking about whether or not the kids should be going somewhere else.
Thank you. Great comment on that. Okay. Yes, Bob?
Are they done? You done, Bob?
So,
Bob, you done?
I'll give you a nod. Yep.
I just, although Gil admitted it, I just want to emphasize that everybody knows that I've come to a vast majority of the selectmen's meetings, probably 99%. And Rob is right. The prior select boards have given him numerous approvals to do work on his road. Gil admitted it, so there has to be no discussion. I just want to know let you know that I recollect that as well. As for the things that Bill said, yeah, the town might be going to get some money from this AHEAD project, but how much is it going to cost the taxpayers? Like Rob said, with the school, we already paid $9 million for under 300 kids. Okay, when you get these transient people that are going to come in and work for a year or maybe 2 years, you know, put their kids in our school, the tax burden to the residents of this town for the school is going to skyrocket. Skyrocket. All right, so, you know, whatever benefit the town is going to get from having that there, whatever income they're going to get is going to be outweighed by, and going to be put right on the back of the taxpayers. Okay, and I just want to talk about public participation. We're in public participation, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's in, and that's on an agenda item. I wasn't at the last meeting, but I take offense to Scott's comment when Bill asked about public participation and said it was getting out of hand. Again, I've attended 99%. I don't recall anything getting out. He said it started with Joel Barassa. You know, it really didn't, but it did, but it didn't, because Joel Barassa tried to call a meeting to offer a pretty large, well-attended meeting, and he was the only selectman here. And I informed him, you can't call a meeting to order without a quorum. You cannot have a meeting without a quorum. You know, you guys are great at calling your lawyer. Okay, so you can check on that, all right? And if you call that somebody getting out of hand, because Joel was leaving at that point in time, so we had a little back and forth on that, okay, because Joel knew that he was going away and he didn't care, all right? There were some people in this room that were here that night, all right? So I don't recall meetings getting out of hand, and that's the closest thing that I could call to a meeting get on it. So I take offense to Scott's answer to Bill last week, okay? The real reason you people don't want public participation is you don't want the public to approach you. You don't want them to talk to you. You want to shut them down. You want to know what they're going to say before they say it, so you can have your ducks in a row. You should already have your ducks in a row, because if you've done it, it should be in your head why you did it. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
If I may just mention, when you say out of hand, I think what it was in reference to even before Scott was that it got a little casual. It became more of a social event. I don't remember any exchanges in anger or anything like that, if that's what you were referring to. I don't remember anything like that. If Joel was the only one here, obviously I wasn't,
Yeah.
so I don't know what happened at that meeting, but as a rule, I think it was just because it just got to be sort of a,
Well, he
Social event.
didn't say that, and my inference to his words, whereas I just put them to you, okay, that getting out of hand to the point where it was uncontrollable. I agree with you that the meetings were casual. This is the town of Woodstock. This isn't the city of Boston, okay? We have 1,384 people in this town, okay? And when you're talking about, if you remember, there were quite a few nights that I was the only person in this room. And we had a lot of, yes, it was relaxed. And I think in a town like this, where in Woodstock, we can be a little bit more relaxed than, you know, the city of Boston with 600,000 people, or some other place that's in Manchester, someplace else that's a lot larger than us. Everybody here knows everybody else, okay? You know, everybody knows I work on the ambulance. I can't say anything about anybody that I take to the hospital, okay, to people who aren't allowed to hear it, all right? But before I get back here, when I've taken someone to the hospital, everybody in town knows who I took to the hospital and what for, and I don't know how they know it. But I'm just making a point, okay? There's no secrets in this town. Everybody knows everybody, everybody knows each other's business, okay? We don't have to be, okay, hammer and tongs. You know, it was a lot better when we were a little bit more casual. Like I said before, I told you 2 meetings ago, Jim Fadden's turning over in his grave, because although Jim and I had, you know, had some pretty good discussions about things that were being done, and about him conducting business down at his office like his grandfather used to do years before him, but that was then, this is now, okay, I get it, all right, but, and, you know, and other things, when we walked out the door, if, out of this room, it was forgotten. He had the opinion that the people who elected you guys to office had a right to approach you, and you people now, this current board, is making it so we are not approachable to our elected officials, unless we get on the agenda.
Pat, if I may, Pat's making a good point. Open, you know, leadership is openness. When you know, if you're gonna lead. If you're gonna shut people down, what's the point? Just,
And the other thing is, although the police chief, the prior police chief and the current one had attended meetings on a regular basis, I'm not sure, but I'm seeing a police officer in tonight, and I'm wondering if they've not been ordered to be at this meeting now.
not by us,
Okay, just curious,
not by us, Pat.
okay?
And I can say, Pat, no, I have not. I am
Alright.
here of my own.
All right. Thanks, Betsy,
My own
I appreciate that. All right, Don, I rescind that comment, thank you.
It's okay. If you don't ask, the answer's always no.
I was just wondering, as I said.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yeah?
Yeah, to the Class 6 road, I'm just wondering what led up to the whole situation as to why he got a letter from an attorney, I'm assuming.
I spent more than $10,000
I
improving the road.
got what you
That's
were
it.
saying. I just wanted to hear why, the reason they felt that they had to send you this letter or to do something.
That's a very
with it.
good question.
Because my point is, as a taxpayer, you had to hire this attorney to write this letter, and I just want to find out if there's some critical thing that he was doing or something that was, I realize it's a Class 6 road and you can't spend people's own money, but from what I understood from before, the town wasn't willing to go up there and do anything on the road. because it wasn't a town, I don't know, maybe it is a town road, but it wasn't, it's a class 6, so they don't have to do anything to it. But to me, if the guy's spending his own money, he's increasing the value of all those other properties, any other property up there, and it's a betterment for the town. They're not even spending their own money, he's spending his money. Why, I don't know, but that's up to him. I get it, he wants to have a good ride up there, I don't blame him for that, but I'm just curious as to why the town felt that they had to address this issue.
The letter was sent just to remind him that, and we would send it to anyone that we knew of doing work on a class 6 road, that permission, the selectmen do have to give permission to, we don't write the RSAs, we just have to
Oh,
enforce them and
that's
follow
fine.
them. You know, and yeah, we appreciate, and you're right, it could have had a little more, you know what? Robert, thank you very much for doing this work. We just need to remind you that work on this road, and now we need to define what that work is, but work on this road needs the permission of the select board, because the municipality actually owns that road.
Is there any work that I've ever done or would do that you would say no to?
And it's not necessarily just you, there's.
I understand that,
What
but the
if-
letter
what if your
specifically says
neighbors
me. I just want a
decided to
letter
tear
so I
up what
can-
you just did?
What's that?
Just saying, what if your neighbors decided to tear up what you just did because they didn't like it?
Oh, they do.
But I'm just saying.
That's why I keep fixing it.
When you, that
Wear and
would
tear
give
is
you the
not just mine.
opportunity to say, you know what, the select board said I could do this, and it keeps the neighborhoods from fighting amongst each other also. You know, because you have us to lean back on and say, whoa, the select board told me I can reclaim and resurface
Oh, I
the
got
road
it.
as you did.
A plausible deniability.
I know,
can
but,
just-
and it's not just you, it's anybody on a class 6 road, okay?
Yeah.
And we do appreciate it. We just need you to say, hey, I'm gonna resurface the road, and we're gonna get, like I said, we're gonna get them to define what maintenance is classified, so that it is clearer and better understood by all of us, okay? Thank you. Does that,
Yeah.
okay. Patrick?
If you give a stranger, like the Ice Castles, an MOU to perform work on a Class 6 road, you can do it for a guy that grew up here. So if he wants to maintain his road, okay, you should give him restrict it however you want to restrict it. Restrict it to plowing, cutting trees, or unblocking the road from obstacles, or whatever it be. You can restrict it however you want, but you should give him an MOU. He grew up here. If you can give it to these strangers that show up, and all they're doing is sucking our water out of the ground, you can do it for him.
I certainly agree with that.
We would have to check with, sorry, but the attorney, because I don't know if there's different language between a class 5 and class 6, because they're on a class 5 road. But if she says we can give you an MOU for a class 6 road and your neighbors sign off on
I
it,
don't
those that
know
are
what an
looking at it,
MOU
we would.
is.
Memorandum of
Of
understanding.
understanding.
Ah,
Basically, an
okay.
agreement that says, yes,
It's
you can
basically a
do
contract.
this. Yep,
Yeah.
we will certainly look into that for you.
We've got a
But that
good
is
solid
classified
history of
with it.
improvements.
I forgot that, Gil, thank you.
Yeah.
Listening to this, where does plowing come in? Is that maintenance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Plowing, sanding, cutting back tree limbs that are hanging over the road that'll whack your car.
Oh,
I spend a lot of time doing that.
There are 3 people in this room that live
Foxton Road,
on
it's a
class 6 roads
which is
going
an
through.
unmaintained town.
Yeah, I do
Wondering
all of that
about
work.
plowing.
I don't
Do they
But
Shouldn't they
houses to be built there, they have to keep it
be held to
traversable.
the same standard as
He's
well?
always maintained it.
Can you just go and plow
We're going to define what maintenance is.
for
Okay?
everybody?
For everybody, not just Robert. We need to define what,
Yeah, we're not
what is
singling out
considered.
anyone.
Right.
We don't mean to, if that's the
Well, there are other-
perception, then it's,
Oh, Gil, you
The
know.
problem is, a registered letter
yeah, I understand.
changes it all.
Yeah, I get that, absolutely.
But Gil, you're aware of class 6 roads being plowed, and if that's maintenance and those people aren't being held to that same standard, the poor man's being singled out for what others are doing on at least 4 of the class 6 roads that I located today.
We got notes to look at. We will get back to you as soon as we can. as soon as we get an answer.
Kelly, do you have a?
Oh, I just wanted to say that I agree with Mr. Griffin and a few others with only speaking with what's on the agenda. I think I was at that meeting with Joel Barassa 2 years ago. And I think I was the one who, after Ice Castle flooded my home across the street, I kept coming in here and asking questions. And I think he didn't want to answer them. So then he started enacting, that you have to have it on the agenda and you can't speak. And I just disagree with that. It's such a small town. And we just, we have so few questions and it's only 2 weeks. So just maybe something to think about to open it up again. Thank you.
We can make note of
A
that.
suggestion on that might be eliminate that, and then if there's something that you just don't know the answer to, you say, okay, let's put together a list of questions that we can get the answers for and continue this discussion at the next meeting.
Fair input?
Bobby, do you have a question? Your hand kind of went.
Yeah, I was just curious, if someone did do work on a Class 6, what if they got hurt? What happens then?
They,
According
That's
to the
part of the
letter I
agreement.
have,
That's
nothing
part of the
happens.
agreement.
It's my problem.
Huh?
that's part of the agreement that they
Right.
sign when they build on a Class 6 road,
Right.
that they can't hold the town liable.
Okay, I see,
The
okay.
liability
Yeah.
holds it.
And if the house is on fire and the fire department can't get to them, or if somebody got hurt, like where Mac's house is perched, and the ambulance can't get to them, but it does specify they will make every effort available to them to do that. So,
Basically, if you build on a Class 6 road, you sign off police, ambulance, fire,
Oh, okay.
all services, and all road maintenance. But it says in there, okay, you recognize you're on a Class 6 road, so, you're gonna have to live with it, and
Yeah.
which, if it doesn't say it specifically, implies, okay, a tree falls in the road, you cut the tree out yourself. If the road gets rough, you grade the road, which I've done without a problem,
Yeah.
so.
Very good. Anything else?
Oh, one comment on what they were saying about the school situation. Just as a matter of point for that discussion, the school budget for this year is almost, and I'm talking about very, very close to twice the state average. And that we have classrooms with as few as 2 kids in them, and grades with, the state requirement is 1 teacher for 25 students. And we have situations where we have 2 teachers and 2 teachers' helpers for like 14 students.
So the
Yeah,
school
that's
can
been a-
handle more students, is what you're
Oh,
saying?
the school can handle a lot more. There's 15 additional teachers working at that school right now, which is basically an extra $1 million in taxes for the town of Woodstock that there's no requirement for. And when you look at the published rankings, though the school denies any involvement in any ranking system, the rankings that are done by the state and done by the real estate organizations and everything put them at the bottom of the list. In fact, number 206 out of 237.
been a bone contention for me for a while.
I got, there's just so much money going into something that is not working, and that's solely on the part of the administration and leadership of the school. Does not reflect the teachers' competencies or anything. It's simply how it's being administered. And
Very good. Thank you for that information. Any other questions or comments? Very good. Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn at 5:44 PM.
Make that motion.
And I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for coming out tonight.